Good evening, Kettleland. This is forecast first. Mainly clear skies tonight. Sioux Falls area 56 for a low. Aberdeen 52, Pierre 53, and Rapid City 48. Tomorrow we're back to some sunshine and it will warm up. We're back to the 80s. Sioux Falls 83, even upper 80s in Pierre and Rapid City. Well, there's a change this weekend. Cooler weather, some rain chances. We'll talk details coming up next on Kettleland News at 6.
Live from Kettleland Media Group, Kettleland News at 6.
Absentee voting in South Dakota gets underway tomorrow. What you need to know before you head to the polls.
Plus, a popular Sioux Falls skating rink is turning 50 this year, a look back at the early days of Skate City.
And later, the weather in Kettleland is starting to shift to fall. A look at our average overnight lows.
We'll have those stories in just a moment, but first, our top story. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Solik.
And I'm Don Jorgensen. The Henry School District and the Connington County Sheriff's Office are investigating hazing reports.
At least 3 7th grade boys have come forward saying they've been beaten by older teammates repeatedly on their way to football practice. And
that's not all. Kettleland Summer Roddershot talked with the boys' mothers in an exclusive interview who have a message for students and parents.
Bobby Jenner knew something was wrong when her son Tyson came home from football practice with a 3-inch welt on his thigh. He eventually admitted he'd been whipped with a seatbelt.
Has anything else happened? And he shut down again. And nope, that's it. I mean, I can't say any more. They'll get me more. They'll come after me. What happens on the bus has to stay on the bus. They tell us what happens stays on the bus. That's when I started texting other parents.
The mothers started piecing the story together, and when one boy opened up, the others also started to share.
They were their role models, and these boys are telling them to sit on the floor while their bus driver drives at a high rate of speed and plays chicken with other cars. These role models tied seat belts together and tripped my son, causing him to smash his head on the emergency door, where they then proceeded to stuff him in the corner of the bus and violently throw football equipment on top of him.
My son was held down by a senior while an 8th grader, a teammate on his team, not even a varsity player, but a teammate on his junior high team, repeatedly would hit him over and over and over in the back until he had bruises. On another occasion, one held him down and whipped him with a seatbelt more than 5 times.
And there were threats made that if a child spoke, they would be in trouble. The words my son used was cooked, and he begged me not to tell.
The boys say it had been happening for weeks.
My son asked for over 3 weeks to quit football. I'm not a parent that makes my children participate, but I know football is what he loves.
These people that are supposed to be his friends and claim to be his friends, and they're sitting there watching this happen, and they're not stopping it. They're not telling anybody, and they're not even protecting him.
In a release, Henry's superintendent says the district investigated the bullying and hazing reports and found multiple students violated district policy, and appropriate disciplinary action has been taken.
And they want to call it bullying? Is that what we call it when a parent hits a child repetitively until that child can't walk or talk? We call it bullying. That's abuse. This is abuse.
We may have to switch schools because if the other boys stay, that creates a problem for us.
The mothers are sharing their sons' stories in hopes of protecting other kids.
I'm angry because this happened and that no one spoke up. but I'm sad because I understand why nobody spoke up. My own child was so scared to say anything.
It's uncomfortable to say something because you're afraid that they're gonna retaliate. But your parents can protect you, and they should, and if they won't, find somebody that will. Because I will stop at nothing to protect my child or anybody else's.
Summer Ottershot, KELOLAND News.
The mother saying that while students from Florence and Henry are on the same football team, Florence students had nothing to do with the hazing, and the school has been helpful throughout the whole process. Along with the mothers, 3 of the boys sat down with us and described what happened on the bus and why they wanted to come forward.
There's been multiple times that we have been threatened that if we share anything that's happened on the bus, that we will be hurt even more and be beaten and abused more and harder if we share.
Tonight on KELOLAND News at 10, we're going to hear what happened in the boys' own words and why they decided that it was important to share their story.
Now let's get a check on our forecast with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, as we turn to our weather picture tonight, fairly calm conditions out there in KELOLAND. We can see that from our downtown live camera. Temperatures holding here primarily in the upper 70s, low 80s. Sioux Falls at 82. The humidity is down today quite a bit, and that's because dew points are down to 51. We've had quite a bit of wind, too, in western South Dakota. Frequent wind gusts over 40 miles an hour. Severe weather is blowing up east of us. Minneapolis, St. Paul, over to Madison, Wisconsin. All of that is shifting eastward, and we're going to be in a dry pocket, at least for the short-term forecast. 83 now Mitchell, 80 degrees in Rapid City. There you note the winds strongest in northwestern South Dakota. New coming up tomorrow, we do have a fire weather watch in effect for the southern Black Hills, including Hot Springs, Custer, over to Pine Ridge. And again, back to the high fire dangers that have been around the last few weeks. 56 tonight, Sioux Falls, 52 Aberdeen, 53 Pierre, 48 Rapid City. We'll have much more on the weather coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Brian. A measure on the upcoming November ballot could remove the state sales tax on groceries or on items meant for human consumption. The intent of IM 28 is to remove the tax on groceries, but the Attorney General's explanation is that it covers other items such as alcohol or tobacco. If IM 28 passes in the November election, the Attorney General says it would be headed for judicial or legislative clarification. Find out what supporters and opponents say about IM 28 in a KELOLAND.com original story by Ray Yost on our website.
Well, starting tomorrow, South Dakotans can start casting their ballots for the November election. KELOLAND's Julia Lynn spoke with the Lincoln County Auditor and shares what you need to know before voting.
Lincoln County's Auditor Sherry Lund says her office has been preparing all year for the election, as they expect many people to cast their absentee ballots.
We actually looked at this, and there's about 5,000 average if you don't count 2020. 2020 was, a unique situation. So
you will have to bring your driver's license, and after that, you will get this ballot, what you'll fill out here. And note, this year is a little bit longer than past years.
You could expect to take more time. We have 7 ballot questions on it.
However, there is a website to help people prepare.
I think the biggest thing would be to go onto the VIP portal, review the sample ballot that's available so you know what you're voting on and know how you want to vote when you get here.
Whether you vote absentee or on Election Day, all of Lincoln County's ballots will be counted by a machine on November 5th.
When we get the absentee ballot returned, or when they're in the office, we verify every signature. If there's a death or anything that happens during the absentee period, we'll pull that ballot out, so obviously it won't count.
In Canton, Julia Lynn, KELOLAND News.
A reminder that under South Dakota law, starting tomorrow through Election Day, you cannot wear or bring any campaign materials to the polls when you vote. For more information on how to get a sample ballot and where your voting place is, just go to this story on KELOLAND.com.
Lutheran Social Services has announced the closure of the New Beginnings Center in Aberdeen. The facility is a juvenile law enforcement deferment center serving kids aged 10 to 17. LSS says the main reason they are closing the center is that both local and national trends are shifting away from collective care settings like the New Beginnings Center. The final day of operation for the facility will be October 18th. For more on the closure of the New Beginnings Center, check out this KELOLAND.com original by Michael Dorn online now.
Some rain chances possible this weekend, but we're watching some changes to that. We'll explain the details up next.
A popular Sioux Falls skating rink is turning half a century old this week.
We'll take you back in time to the early days of Skate City right after the break. Tonight, some Henry football players are at the center of an investigation. Coming up, a local furniture store is closing after 20 years in business. Tonight, a local business is working to keep athletic footwear out of the garbage.
A roller skating rink in Sioux Falls hits the 50-year mark this week. KELOLAND's Kelly Vogt takes us back in time to its early days.
From the neon sign to the disco ball to the smell of cotton candy, there's a wave of nostalgia when you roll into Skate City. The Sioux Falls roller skating rink opened in 1974.
I think a lot of parents were really happy on a Friday night to drop their teens off for a while and have maybe some peace and quiet or do something on their own.
Ann Erickson and her then-husband Chris own the rink with Ann's parents. Back then, skaters knew it as carousel skate. Friday nights turned into controlled chaos as skaters flocked to the rink.
It was crazy. Look back at it now, I mean, some of those nights were stressful, but we had so many good customers and people that we got to know through the years that we really looked forward to it. But it was always nice when Friday night was over.
After owning the rink for over 40 years, the Ericksons sold it to Kevin Curtis in 2015. It's now called Skate City.
I'm as happy as they are that things worked out and that we can carry on this rink because, you know, obviously I'm in the roller skating business and I want to see kids learn to roller skate and that's the fun of the business. And as they grow up, they're kids, so we see generations of skaters, which makes it kind of cool.
Today, Friday nights are still buzzing. School parties also draw big crowds. Nathan Carter started skating at this rink about 10 years ago.
Got into it as a kid and I just never fell off from it. It's the one thing that I can kind of, I guess, empty my mind and just kind of do my own thing.
Kevin isn't sure if there is a secret to keeping a roller rink alive for 50 years, other than the joy of skating.
I think it's a fun family entertainment.
While it's easy to add up the 50 years that have gone by since the rink opened, the memories are countless.
When I run into people out in public, they say that they have fond memories of it. And it's so nice to see the generation after generation coming in.
In Sioux Falls, Kelly Volk, KELOLAND News.
And I'm one of those who has memories of Carousel Skate growing up. Chris's parents were investors in Carousel Skate. The roller skating rink will host a 50th anniversary celebration this Saturday with discounted skating from 6 to 10 o'clock in the evening.
Skating always sounds like so much fun, but every time I've done it, it just ends in tragedy of me falling and knocking the wind out of myself.
And I was telling Mr. Bryan earlier, if you don't skate a lot, you probably wind up with some blisters too. You know?
There's a little spot in the back, though, that you can practice.
Oh, okay, that's for me. Yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah, and you know, it's funny. I didn't grow up here, but now that I've lived here so long, my kids have gone out there. We've had different parties, and it's a lot of memories.
That story's going to resonate with a lot of our viewers. Because, Carousel Skate, 50 years.
Absolutely, you bet. Well, hey, always good weather to go skating in there.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Getting into our forecast, well, the weekend, maybe some rain. We're going to talk about that. It's a close call. We're going to start with that story since that's really the biggest item of our 7-day forecast. This is your weekend outlook. You can see Saturday, Sunday. Where's the rain? Well, it's still coming into the plains, but here's the question. And Scott Munn, I know this morning had talked about this, and the latest thinking is we've got a system to our north that may effectively act as a block here as we look at the forecast. Why is that? Well, here's the setup. You've got two lows. You got one to our north, one to our southwest. This one takes a track into North Dakota or southern Canada into early Saturday. And when you have a low pressure center like that, in this orientation like this is what we call a positively tilted trough. In other words, when we connect these two, it looks like that. We would prefer that this goes the other direction, slows down. That would increase our rain probability if you're looking for rain this weekend. I know some of you are in that category. Here it is, though. It likely develops through Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, but then the question will be by Sunday, will that pull north or not? And we're going to continue to watch that. But the latest trends have certainly shifted a little farther south. That's something that we will need to continue to watch as we get into the weekend forecast. Beyond that, probably breaks toward high pressure again next week. And that's why the end of your 7-day is once again back to dry weather. We've seen quite a bit of that in Aberdeen. It's been drier lately. 79 is your temperature. Looks like a quiet overnight. We've had repeated, the fire danger, of course, that's been off and on here the last several weeks. We still think that's going to be coming back again tomorrow in the southwest. Now, as far as the specifics on the forecast, tonight we're going to drop back down primarily here into the 50s overnight. Pierre area, mid-50s. Rapid City probably closer to 50 on the nose there or a little lower. Tomorrow, the wind starts to come up out of the south, so that's a change for us. Pierre, winter, look at those numbers in the upper 80s and low 90s. Sioux Falls will not be that warm, but still, for getting into late September now, highs in the 80s. We're way above the averages. And then tomorrow night, there could be a couple of showers or thunderstorms in the northeast around Sisseton and Watertown. We'll continue to watch that, but I don't think that's necessarily widespread. And then on Saturday, the wind will come around to the northwest. We are going to get that big push of cooler weather as we go into the weekend. So that part of the forecast we feel pretty good about. 55 tonight in Worthington, 57 in Marshall. Tomorrow, back to summer-like weather. We're in the 80s, 87 Pierre, 87 degrees in Rapid City. Now, the forecast on Saturday, we drop Rapid City to 67 with a northwest wind at 20 to 40. Sioux Falls stays near 80 with a north breeze at 10 to 20. But everybody's going to cool back on Sunday. Here's a nice refreshing day in the 60s, and where it's raining in Nebraska, it'll likely stay in the 50s most of the day. Now, that cool down's not going to last long. We'll bounce back into the 70s next week, but the chance of rain probably limited early next week. So we'll continue to see how Aberdeen will fare on this chance of rain on Saturday. But the cool weather, probably the biggest part of that will be Sunday into Monday in that 7-day forecast. And then next week, we're back to 70s, probably not 80s. It looks like the hottest of the weather might stay away from us for now. Rapid City, too, 60-degree weather for both Saturday and Sunday.
All right, thank you, Brian. The Minnesota Twins look for a series split with Cleveland. We'll have those highlights next in sports.
Mic test, 1, 2, mic. The Minnesota Twins have had a tough month. Several injuries and a slumping lineup has led to their lead in the AL wildcard to fall to just a half game. Now, the Twins sought a series split with the Guardians on Thursday afternoon. In the bottom of the first, Cleveland strikes first. Kyle Manzardo blasts a solo home run down the right field line, and the Guardians lead 1-0. Now, it took 4 innings for either team to score again. In the fifth, Manuel Margot fires a double into the gap. That scores 2 runs, and the Twins have the lead. It's now 2-1. Cleveland would tie the game, and for a second straight day, the game went to extra innings, and the Guardians attack. Andres Jimenez singles to right field to score Jose Ramirez as Cleveland punches their ticket to the playoffs with a 3-2 win over the Twins.
Okay, thanks a lot, Grant. Well, our overnight low temperatures are shifting. We'll have a closer look at the above average numbers when we come back.
It's not only our afternoon highs that have been well above average, but our overnight lows. Meteorologist Scott Munt has a recap of what we've had.
September has been well above average, and we know that the afternoon highs get the most attention, but the overnight lows have also been impressive. It was another mild start to the day in southeast Kettleland as temperatures were near 70 degrees. That's around 15 degrees above the climate average low. The impressive thing is, this hasn't been just for a morning or two. Here's a look at the overnight lows in Sioux Falls. For the past week, we've been above average with lows in the 60s and low 70s. But it's not only Sioux Falls. Huron has had mild overnights also. In fact, record lows were set on Monday and Wednesday mornings. And Aberdeen has been above average for lows for the past week and a half. Records were also set in Aberdeen Monday and Wednesday. With cooler air coming in tonight, we'll be closer to our usual overnight lows. And that is a trend that will continue. For Kettleland Weather, I'm meteorologist Scott Munt.
Well, how low is the temperature going to go tonight? Stay with us. Brian's going to have that for us when we come back.
Good evening, I'm Lauren Solik. Coming up tonight at 10, a local furniture store is going out of business after 20 years in Sioux Falls. The history of Steinberg's Furniture in tonight's Your Money Matters. Plus, the Cottington County Sheriff's Office is investigating whether the actions of some Henry football players warrant criminal charges. An exclusive interview with the alleged victims. And the 437 Project runners have started their journey, why some of the runners are going the distance. Coming up tonight at 10, the Cottington County Sheriff's Office is investigating whether the actions of some Henry football players warrant criminal charges. An exclusive interview with the alleged victims.
And the 437 Project runners have started their journey, why some of the runners are going the distance.
Brian, are we cooling down tonight?
Yeah, 50s for lows. Looks like it'll be a quiet and dry overnight forecast, and then back to the 80s tomorrow. Looks like warm sunshine and a return of that southerly wind on tomorrow afternoon. Then it'll turn cooler this weekend and it'll finally start feeling more like fall.
Yeah, a little bit of a change in the air there. Okay. All right, thanks, Brian. And that is our time. We thank you for watching.
We'll see you back here at 10.